Hello and welcome back to the channel. We are taking a closer look at the Tamron 16-30mm f2.8 for Sony E-mount and if it's worth considering for us sports photographers. Two disclaimers at the beginning. Tamron sent me this lens to review it. There is no money in exchange or anything. They also don't know what I'm talking about, this lens, but they gave it to me to test it. I returned it and I bought it myself. So this basically is my copy of the lens, and that's maybe kind of a spoiler for the whole review that I really like this lens. That's the first disclaimer. The second one is normally I do these videos in German because I'm from Austria, I'm a German native speaker and English is not my mother tongue. But I want to try if this video gets a little more views when I'm doing this in English. So it's basically also a test for the whole channel. Maybe I do my reviews and videos and vlogs and everything in English in the future. So Tamron 60-30mm 2.8 for sports photographers. The ultra-wide lens spectrum is a niche. We all know that. We can get really nice looking shots in the right situations, but it's not for everyone and it's also not for every time. But when you are considering buying an ultra-wide lens, you know what you want, and I guess you know how you want to use this lens. So overall, is this lens doing what I was expecting it to do? Maybe an overall look on the lens, you know, it's very lightweight, it's small, it's compact. The zoom range from 16 to 30mm is quite nice, and it's useful for many situations when you are very close to the subject you want to photograph, or you are in a big stadium and want to have a really nice overview of the whole scenery. I have a lot of pros for this lens. I also have some minor cons, but we will check that in the review. First of all, maybe for the specs, it's 16 to 30mm, so it's not the usual 16 to 35. It's 440 grams in weight. It has a 67mm filter thread, and it has a minimum focus distance from 19 centimeters, which is not that good. So it's not a macro lens or something like that, but it's fine. And it's compact and lightweight, as you see. I use the lens mainly for handball, like for huddles when the team gets together during the game, before the game, also for some wide shots of players that are close to me when I'm sitting next to the goal. And it's nice for that because you get a really nice view, and you know when you're sitting down and the player is next to you and you're photographing up, it's really big in size, and that makes it a little bit mighty. You can also do behind the goal shots. I tried it a bit, but it's not that easy to do in handball because the whole goal is always shaking when a ball or a player hits the goalpost. So I don't have a remote trigger and everything. So I just took some, I don't know, 3 to 5 shots during the warm up. But you can do it. You can also use it for behind the goal shots at football or any other sports with the goal. So yeah, for that it's really good, but it's a niche, I know. But what I wasn't aware of is that I use it a lot for some like behind the scenes stuff as well. I traveled with the handball team. I'm photographing the Jacks Füßlau in the Austrian Bundesliga. And they traveled for the European League Cup to Slovenia, and I was with the team at the team bus, at the team hotel, so I had a chance to get behind the scenes, behind the warm-ups and plays and everything. And I loved this lens for this kind of things, for this behind the scenes shots, because it's much more intimate. And you also have the possibility to get closer to your subjects you want to photograph, and also get some wide, nice shots when the player's arriving at the hotel or the player's arriving at the venue they're playing in. And yeah, so at first I bought it for this niche kind of stuff, hollows and everything, but it works also for some other situations, which makes it very versatile. One downside, but it's not really a problem of the lens, it's mainly a problem of my second camera, which is the Sony A7C II. It's quite slow. So for this behind the scenes stuff, it's fine, but during the game, during the action, it's not really meant for that and built for that. So it was a bit hard to get really nice action shots with the lens and the camera. But as I said, that has nothing really to do with the lens, but more with the camera I use. So overall, the image quality was quite impressive. I don't do these test charts and pixel peeping and everything. I do real world scenario tests, and this is where this lens shines, for me at least. It's priced under 1,000 euros in Europe, and I guess also in US dollars. So it's slightly cheaper than the Sony 16-25. And it also has a little more reach, which is nice. The extra 5mm helps a bit, not all the time, but it's nice to have it when you need it. One negative point for the lens is that it is limited to 15 FPS on the Sony E-mount, because we all know Sony doesn't allow third-party lens manufacturers to use the whole FPS capability of the camera. So when I'm shooting with the Tamron 16-30mm on my Sony A9 III, I also get only 15 FPS, not the whole 120. So have that in mind when you're thinking about this lens, and when you say, okay, no, I want something faster, then I guess you have to go with the 16-25 or a 16-35 by Sony. So the native Sony lenses have some advantage here. But for me, 15 FPS is fine, because I normally tend to use it not for that big action sequences where I need 120 FPS. I also don't shoot with my Sony glass on my A9 III in 120 FPS, because it's a pain to sort all the pictures out. I mainly photograph with 30 FPS, which is kind of nice for sports and not really faster. Sometimes I try to use the 60 FPS or the 120 FPS when I know I want to do something like a GIF or something like that, or a time-lapse shot. But yeah, that's, I don't know, 1 out of 1,000 times or something like that. So not that big of a deal. What for me is more big of a deal are that there is one function button. That's nice, okay, but I really, really wanted to have this lens manual AF/MF switch, because the place, you have the place for the switch, and I like it very much to switch it on the lens itself and not on the camera, because I have my camera buttons layouted as I need it. And to be honest, the MF/AF switch is nothing I really need a lot, but sometimes I need it. And on these times, it would be nice to switch it on the lens, so you don't need an extra button on the camera to switch the focus mode. It's not a deal breaker. It's something I would love. It's nothing really that really matters for the quality of the lens, but it would be nice to have. What I saw when I used it with the Sony A9 III was that the autofocus of the Tamron is a tiny bit slower than maybe the 16-25 from Sony, or the 16-35 from Sony, or other lenses from Sony, like the 15-150, which is a pro lens, I know. But it's not, the autofocus is not that slow, so you can't use it. It's okay. And for the shots you can get with 15 FPS, I guess it's fine. Also, for the shots you can get with an ultra wide lens, when you say, okay, you make something like a picture of a football stadium or something like that. So there it doesn't really matter how fast the autofocus is because you have the time to focus correctly. So also not that big of a deal, no deal breaker here. What I like on zoom lenses is when the zoom ring is a little bit stiffer. Here it's very light going. So when I hold it like that and only use one finger, and I can really easy zoom. I know people like it when zoom rings are very fast and very light going. I like it a little bit stiffer. Also, it's subjective to everyone's taste, but it's a little bbit too light. But that's basically it. That's my cons for this lens. And I have to say, Tamron made a really nice follow-up to the 17 to 28 f2.8, which was the first version, and then they decided to mix up the focal length a bit, so it's a 16 to 30 now. And I really like the zoom range. It's exactly what I wanted, and I really like the lens, so I bought it myself. And I guess that's the best I can tell you about this lens, because I bought it myself. It's not sponsored or anything like that, so with my own money. And you can use it also for other stuff besides sports. I'm not just a sports photographer. I do some commercial shoots, I do some weddings, I do some portrait shoots sometimes. I do a lot of traveling, and I will always have this lens with me when traveling, because you can do nice landscapes with it. You can also do Milky Way or astrophotography with it, because 2.8 is fine. I know it's not in 1.8 or 1.4 or something like that, but for the not the professional astrophotographer like other people are, but for us, for us amateurs, it's fine, I guess. And also for traveling and moving around a city or something like that, I guess you can also do great cityscapes with it. So it's a really versatile lens, and you can use it for many different scenarios. To end this video, there are some other lenses in the same price and also focal length range. Like I mentioned before, the 16 to 25 from Sony. There is a 16 to 28 from Sigma. There's also the 16 to 35 in version 1 and 2 by Sony, but that's another price range, I know. But when you compare it to the other lenses, I would definitely go with the Tamron, because the 16 to 28 from Sigma is quite old. It's not that fast, what I heard. It also lacks of 2 millimeters in focal length. Same on the Sony, it has 5 millimeter less focal length. I know it's faster. It's not a little bit newer than the Sigma. It's, I don't know, I think a year or something older than the Tamron. And it's a great lens. I tested it before, but it's also 200 euros more expensive than the Tamron. So I don't really know if there's a reason not to go with the Tamron, but that's something you have to decide. I highly recommend go to your local photo shop or photo supplier, test the Tamron, test the Sigma, test the Sony, and look what feels good in your hands. What's also, maybe you don't need that 5 millimeters and you say, hey, 25 is fine, but I need a faster lens. That's also fine. I really highly recommend go and test these lenses before you buy it. But I can say I love this lens. I would really go for it again. And yeah, I think that's it with the review. I'm more of the hands-on reviewer, so really in the real-world scenarios. When you want to look at test charts and everything, there are reviews from Gerald and Dunn and everyone who makes this. They do it way better than I do, so I think that's fine. But when you want to have real-world tests, then you're at the right address when you're subscribing my channel and like the video, and maybe leave a comment how you liked it, how do you like my Austrian English, and how do you like maybe the lens, if you have it, or are you considering another lens? Let me know down below. And I tried to end this video with all of my German videos with, I hope you had fun with this video, and there's nothing left to say than good morning, good night, good evening, or whenever you are watching this video, and see you next time.